Faulty cross-chain bridges. These slippery dudes are giving DeFi a bad rap, let's be honest. Your grandmother is probably sending you sundry links telling you not to invest in BitMoney because her news is telling her that blockchains are being hacked like never before. And there's some truth to that, especially in this year of our Lord, 2022. Take the Ronin Bridge hack, for example. March of 2022, hackers managed to gain access to 5 of the 9 validator nodes on the network and performed a 51% attack. Boom. $650 million drained straight to North Korea, a country that earns less than $100 million from annual exports. In June, the Harmony Horizon Bridge hack saw hackers walk away with $100 million. Then there's the Nomad Bridge hack that happened in August. Hackers took advantage of a code vulnerability, and after a smart contract update, false transactions were initiated, Nomad's reserves drained, losses $200 million. Even Binance has seen its fair share of these kinds of attacks, losing $570 million from the BSC Token Hub bridge in October. And at this point, you have all these bounties out, trying to get as many white knights as possible to ride in and plug the gaps. One guy uncovered a bug in Polygon's Plasma Bridge to Ethereum, which could be used to drain $850 billion. He reported it to the team and accepted a bounty of $2 million. The truth is, it's a mess. In fact, Chainalysis estimates that crypto bridge hacks now account for about 70% of the total cyber attacks in the blockchain industry. So, there are tons of questions that you probably have. First of all, what on earth am I even talking about? What is a cross-chain bridge? Why are they important? Why are they so broken? And most importantly, can we fix them? This question, and many more, my friends, we shall be answering today. My name is Samuel John. Welcome to Delta Theta. Let's get into it. So, cross-chain bridges are built to solve a problem. That problem is called interoperability. Since most blockchains are naturally incompatible, all transactions must be done within a single blockchain, and this restricts the growth of the industry somewhat. Interoperability is literally blockchains interacting with each other. To realize the full potential of decentralization, it is beneficial for people participating in several blockchains to be linked through a single protocol. This way, they'll be able to access different applications without having to switch networks. For example, it's easy for you to use Ether to pay transactions on Ethereum's dApps like Uniswap and Aave, but you couldn't do so on a competing blockchain like Solana. That means if you only had ETH in your crypto wallet, there's no way you could get involved with a Solana dApp. Instead, you'll have to visit a centralized crypto exchange. You'd have to buy Solana's SOL tokens, and then you'd have to send them to a Solana-compatible wallet. So, you have these different protocols all trying to solve this problem by creating bridges that enable 2 blockchains to interact with each other. For example, Wormhole is a bridge that allows users to move crypto and NFTs between blockchains, such as Solana and Ethereum. And yes, that was also hacked, and they lost over $300 million. But look, while bridge designs vary, users tend to interact with them in the same way. They'll send funds in one asset to the bridge protocol, where they are locked into a contract. The user is then issued the equivalent in another asset that the blockchain is bridging to. For instance, in Wormhole's case, you'd send Ether to the protocol, where it's held as collateral, and then you'd get Wormhole-wrapped ETH on Solana, backed by that collateral that's now locked in the Wormhole contract on Ethereum. Now, there's a large amount of funds being held on the bridge here, and we'll look deeply into why that's a big problem in a few minutes. Right now, let's take a look at the 2 overarching kinds of bridge. First of all, you've got trusted bridges, also known as custodial bridges. Here, it's pretty simple. When you want to move your funds, the company in charge of the bridge is responsible for overseeing these digital assets. The downside of using a trust-based bridge is that users need to forfeit their digital assets to a third party and succumb to the forces of centralization. Also, if it's a trusted bridge, it will probably get hacked at some point. A great example of a trusted bridge is the Binance bridge. Then, you've got trustless bridges, where users don't have to sell their soul to centralization. Instead of manually monitoring crypto transfers, trustless bridges rely on autonomous smart contracts to fulfill transfer requests. The main benefit here is that users have more control over their crypto. However, trustless bridges are still pretty experimental. Even veteran blockchain coders struggle with writing bug-free smart contracts. If hackers exploit a trustless bridge's algorithms, there's no chance you're getting your funds back. At least with trusted bridges, you've got hope of being reimbursed. As an example, Polkadot has a trustless snow bridge that helps users transfer tokens between Polkadot and Ethereum. Bridges are really attractive to hackers for a number of reasons. The primary one being that they often feature a very large, centralized storage point of funds that back the bridged assets on the receiving blockchain. And of course, regardless of how those funds are stored, whether they're locked up in a smart contract or kept with a centralized custodian, that storage point is an obvious target. The second reason here relates to the legal side of hacking bridges. It's very easy to actually keep the money once you manage to hack it. DeFi is largely unregulated and doesn't require KYC checks, so it's much easier for bridge hackers to avoid legal repercussions, even if authorities track down a hacker. But also, if you get caught, the lack of a legal framework relating to cross-bridge hacks makes it somewhat of a gray area. And of course, the third reason is that these things are relatively easy to hack. The creation of an effective bridge design is still an unresolved technical challenge, and you've constantly got new designs being developed and tested. As such, there are plenty of novel attack vectors that hackers are able to come up with. A successful cross-bridge hack usually results in tokens being minted on one blockchain without the corresponding deposit on the other. There are three ways that hackers achieve this result. 51% attack. So, some cross-chain bridges have validators that collectively vote and approve transactions. Of course, if hackers manage to get access to the majority of these nodes, they're able to perform a 51% attack and can basically approve any transaction, allowing them to withdraw free money. We spoke about the Ronin bridge hack earlier. That's exactly what happened there. In fact, the hackers simply sent an engineer an infected PDF that gave them access to his computer and subsequently the validators. If a hacker can generate a fake deposit that validates as a real one, they can trick the system into minting free tokens. This is usually done by exploiting bugs and faulty smart contracts, where both tokens share the same proof of event, but we won't go into that today. In any case, this is what happened with Binance when the hacker managed to forge proof messages of non-existent tokens that were accepted by the BSC Token Hub bridge. Signature verification bypass. So, private keys are often used to sign transactions, and a combination with a public key to authorize the sender. This digital signature can actually be forged. If a smart contract uses an outdated function, it might not be able to properly validate the correctness of certain information. As a result, hackers are able to spoof previously valid digital signatures. This would let them bypass verification and mint free tokens through proof messages. The wormhole hack is a good example of signature verification bypass. Okay, so we know that we need cross-chain bridges to realize our dreams of decentralization, but we also know that they're vulnerable. Is there hope? This is your next question, I imagine. My honest opinion? Absolutely. If we rewind a few years, centralized exchanges were in the firing line. That's what kickstarted the non-custodial wallet revolution. But given a few years, they upped their game, prioritized security, decreased risk, and now these places are pretty bulletproof. I'd say, just as a rule of thumb, new technologies go through a teething period, and with each hack, they get a little smarter, a little better, and a little bit more popular. But of course, we can't rely on time. A valuable step towards addressing these vulnerabilities could be rigorous auditing, with penetration tests becoming the norm. Over time, Developers will be allowed to build upon existing bulletproof infrastructure that will enable both variety and security. There should also be greater training within the industry. There's still a bit of an education gap, and clumsy mistakes are still being made. Developers are still falling prey to phishing scams. Teams should be trained on risk and should be well equipped to protect their company. The same can be said for the industry as a whole. Blockchain literacy needs improving, certainly. We should also look at increasing the risks for hackers. Regulation is on its way, albeit slowly, which will close the legislative gap. Also, technology should be developed for the immediate tracing and labeling of funds. This could go lengths to stopping hackers cashing out their funds. Companies such as Chainalysis are leading the way here, and they recently released a crypto incident response service for crypto businesses that are high-risk targets for cyber attacks. I'd also add that the Ronin network should have had more than 9 validators on its network. So, the industry will learn from its mistakes. The truth is, folks, cross-chain bridges are great. It's just that we're fighting a bit of a war right now, and it's real trench warfare. But we can't give up. For the more we push, the more we keep fighting, and the louder we shout, the further we can go. Cross-chain bridges are a great example of a new technology with growing pains, but one that will, ultimately, revolutionize the industry and further the widespread adoption of crypto. My name's Samuel John, this is Delta Theta, and we'll see you in the next video.